This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I've actually just come back from Paulie Malignaggi's country, but I find him in London. How are we doing, Paulie?
Good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. A bit jet lagged. Had 2 fight weeks with Taylor Serrano and Canelo-Bivol, which we'll come on to in a second. But better address the big man in the room here, Ben Whittaker. Everyone's so eager to get his signature on a contract, and Boxer and Sky Sports have managed it. So yeah, your thoughts on that, Paulie?
That's the big fish, man. You know, they reeled in the big fish. Everybody wants the big fish, and you can just tell there's a presence about him. While watching him on stage, you know, I knew this kid had some charisma. I knew he could fight. Having seen some highlights in the Olympics and whatnot, but you just see his there's only certain fighters have certain people in general, not just fighters, but certain people in general have sort of an it factor. They exude confidence, but they have this aura where you kind of can't take your eyes off them when they step into a room, you know. And you can see Ben Whittaker has that it factor about him. So I can see why he was so sought after, because he's a tremendous talent, but he's also a tremendous personality, and like I said, the branding possibilities are endless with this kid.
Yeah, I think bar Anthony Joshua, I don't think there's been a more markable guy that's come out the Olympics from Britain. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, you know, I'm not as familiar with British Olympians as I would be with American Olympians, but off the top of my head, I mean, again, you just don't see this kind of combination of things in fighters in general, not from regardless of what country they're from. You know, I just you can tell it's not an act. This kind of it factor, you can tell when it's acted out, when it's not natural, and then you can just tell when somebody just has it and it just comes out naturally. He's very witty, he's very charming, he's very charismatic, knows how to balance out the arrogance with the confidence, just the right amount. And like I said, he can fight his ass off too.
Is that a bit of wit from you there, Paulie? You just called Whittaker witty.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. But yeah, witty Whittaker, he's there.
We look forward to a tremendous professional career. If it's half as good as the amateur one, then we're in for a treat.
And of course, he's got a last name that's already boxing royalty. Because maybe no relation, but with the Whittaker last name is already boxing royalty, so he's already on that path as well.
If his defense is anything like Purnell, then we really are in for a treat.
And both were Olympic finalists. You know, Purnell was a gold medal. Ben was an Olympic silver medalist. You know, already you can make some parallels.
Anyways, Paulie, what's been happening with you? How's life treating you? All good?
It's good. Yeah, keeping busy, doing some things with ProBox TV, FightStars.tv. We're getting ready to do the launch at ProBox TV on next week. Next week we have Jean Pascal and Mang Fan Long, so I'm looking forward to being a part of that as well with the launch of ProBox TV. Doing some stuff with Fight Stars as well. That's in the works, and of course I got Paulie TV on my YouTube channel. That's growing as well. So I'm definitely keeping busy, doing a bunch of things.
We're going to see you commentating back on Sky Sports.
Possibly, you know, we're seeing the reaction we get from the fans. See if the fans want it, you know, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm sure they would, because I just still speak to people in the boxing scene, and the top commentator that always comes up, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but it's you, especially from a British perspective. We really do miss you on Sky Sports.
You don't have to be shy about it. I am the best commentator in boxing. So, I'll tell you flat out. I watch fights and I see things that I wish sometimes I could just put into people's heads that they'd mention, and because I see them and they should be mentioned, and unfortunately sometimes they don't. And there are some good commentators in boxing, but yeah, I mean, I'll tell you flat out, I'm the best one in boxing.
You're a very honest man, always are. What's your view on the general level of commentating over this side of the pond and in America?
You know, there's good and bad. You know, I think like, as with anything, you know, I'm not going to single out any individuals, but you know, I think some commentators, some analysts are stronger than others. I think when it comes to boxing analysts, as far as ex-fighters, we all have our perspective because we've all experienced it. But, you know, like I said, then there's some that are stronger than others as well. You know, some have better personalities, some have better ring IQ to be seeing certain things. And then you got guys like me who has a little bit of both. I have the IQ and I have the personality as well.
Well, let me get your analysis on this weekend's events, where we saw Canelo Alvarez take his second professional loss to Dimitri Bivol. The scorecards read as 115, 113 on all three. Thoughts on that, firstly?
I don't think it was that close. I think the scorecards were absolutely shocking. No surprise in boxing. The fact that Dimitri Bivol was down 4-0 on every single scorecard after 4 rounds is absolutely just disgraceful. It's an absolute disgrace. You can be watching that fight and have no presence of mind at all after, I don't know, after 2, 3, after the third round in a row where you're putting 10-9 down for Canelo, you're not even asking yourself, am I really watching the correct fight here? Like having absolutely no awareness, or even worse, purposely misleading the scorecards. It's one or the other. One might be worse than the other, but both are just horrendous possibilities. The fact that you have people like this, I mean, it was just, bro, this is why you can't get new fans into boxing. It gets to the point where you're not watching the sport for the result. You're watching the sport just for the entertainment value. You already know most of the results are bought off at that level. It's just absolutely insane. And that's not a knock on Canelo or anything, but the fact that this was easily no closer than a 9-3 fight. No closer than that. Maybe a 10-2 even. No closer than a 9-3 fight. The fact that it was 4-0 Canelo after 4 rounds on all 3 scorecards, I mean, but one of these days, one of these judges is going to get their head kicked off their bodies. Like, because their heads, you notice the judges, their heads are like right above the ring right there? Like, one of these days, a boxer is going to come and just kick them right in the face. Like, deservedly so. I'm not insinuating any violence, but I'm just saying, you know, like, because you change people's entire livelihoods, the trajectory of people's lives and careers. I mean, it's absolutely shocking that they can still do this and nobody questions them, nobody does anything, nobody even cares, you know, but, you know, I don't know, man. I'm out of the sport now, but I understand the kind of what these kind of shocking decisions end up resulting in for the fighters. You know, they got to go home and rebuild and whatnot, despite the loss. People say, oh, the moral victories. No, bro. You know, no, not at all, man. You know, Gennady Golovkin deserved the first Canelo fight. You know, he deserved it. Like he shouldn't have to not have a win over Canelo on his record. That's absolutely disgraceful and shocking. You know, and so I'm happy Bivol got the win that he deserved. You know, I don't have a horse in the race, but you know, I want the guy that deserves to win the fight to get the win. And in that case, I mean, it was clearly a Bivol win. But had Canelo dug down a little bit late in the fight, he ekes out a draw. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. If Canelo showed any sign of wanting to win the fight late in the fight, and he grinded his teeth a little bit more, bit down on the mouth guard, and fought a harder round, just one of those late rounds, he'd have got a draw. Crazy. We would have had the first Golovkin fight all over again.
Well, is it sad to say that we half expect that now with Canelo fights, Paulie?
I don't know, man. You know, because the thing is, what gets lost in all of this is Canelo is a very good fighter. I think he's been good for boxing. He's brought a lot of casual eyes to the sport, and you know, whenever he fights, the sport becomes mainstream. So it's not a knock on Canelo, but you know, I want the right thing done in the sport in general, you know, and rarely does this sport and business do the right thing. That's life, unfortunately. Human beings, they gravitate to money. Whatever makes money, they'll do the wrong thing in favor of money. It's really an unfortunate human tendency.
Lastly on Canelo-Bivol, do you think he takes a rematch next, or do you think he fights Gennady Golovkin?
You know, I know he wants to rematch with Bivol, but I can't see him winning the Bivol rematch. I think Bivol has his number. Stylistically, I don't think it's a good matchup for him. The Golovkin fight, it sort of closes the chapter with Gennady Golovkin, and it's an older Golovkin. It's a sort of a Golovkin who seems to not be the same fighter anymore. Sort of perfect for this situation right now. You know, even if you want the rematch with Bivol, I think. But I would tell him to do the Golovkin fight, you know, because he'll probably beat Golovkin at this point much more easily, and then possibly consider the Bivol fight. But from my personal opinion, Bivol's pace is just too difficult to deal with, and Canelo never likes to fight at a fast pace, and I just don't see how he'll be able to slow down Bivol's pace.
Just to close off on the heavyweight division, before Fury White took place, we saw Jarrell Miller in camp with Tyson Fury. A lot of the fans were quite outraged about that. What was your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. I mean, listen. I mean, what are we supposed to say? I mean, if Jarrell is a changed man or not, you know, nobody's going to know until he fights again, right? Until he's tested again, right? But regardless, that doesn't mean he doesn't have a right to make a living. He doesn't have a right, you know. Listen, man, people have a right to make a living. You forgive, don't forget type of situation, maybe. But, I mean, listen, I don't knock I'll never take away somebody's right to make a living, you know, especially if they can go back and make their wrongs into a right. They deserve it to at least have the chance to make their wrongs into a right.
Fair enough. What did you make of the fight itself? Fury's knockout of Dillian Whyte, and will he retire?
I think he retires because he can keep his brand huge and while not putting it at risk. And I still think he'll be sought after everywhere, you know, exhibitions, WWE. So I think he retires. But I thought it was a spectacular one-punch knockout. The Sugar Hill influence shows again. You know, Sugar Hill has a reputation for making guys big punches. That's sort of why we're here with Ben Whittaker having hired him as the head trainer. You know, I think Fury's cemented himself as the best heavyweight of his era. You know, I think the only reason other guys have been able to enter the fray in this era was because he had that break after he beat Klitschko.
Just a reminder that Ben Whittaker will be coming to the ring in just a few minutes. Don't leave. Stay and watch the workout.
Thanks for that, Savage Dan.
and those other guys were able to enter the elite fray because Fury allowed them to by taking a break. Otherwise, it would have been a completely dominant era for Fury, a la Klitschko.
Paulie Malignaggi, great to get you back on IFL TV. Hopefully see you on these shores more often. And yeah, have a nice trip in the UK, all right?
Absolutely, I always do.
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.